Hello everyone and welcome back to From Our Basement Gaming.
Hi everyone.
We're back with part 22 of our Legend of Zelda Adventures of Link Let's Play.
That we are.
And we finally made it to the temple again. So, we're hoping this will be the one. Thank you guys for being patient with us. And yeah. Alrighty, well, so this is our first video of May, and yep. It's still April at the time of recording, so we hope the first day of May is going well for you guys, and
that we are.
Regardless of how the weather is. I have no idea what Maryland's weather will be for us in May. It'll be interesting, but I can tell you that much. Yeah. I unfortunately did not read any Hyrule Historia yet, so I can't really talk about that one right now. And I probably will not talk about the thing I was going to talk about in this video. I might save it for the Final Fantasy video, so that I could avoid talking about Sonic during the Zelda video, but I do have a Sonic thing to talk about, but I'll talk about it the next video, not this one. So yeah, well, I don't know what video you'll hear about it in, but 2 weeks from now we will be going to a convention in Ocean City, an anime convention, and it is new for us. Well, I think it's a relatively new convention, but it's not like ChromaCon where this is their first year. I think I'll have to look. It might be like their second or third year. I'm not sure, but it's kind of a smaller convention. To give you an idea, you know that Connor and I are not very rich. I'm kind of chronically poor. But Connor and I were able to afford VIP badges, which we've never been able to get because, most of the big conventions, they're really pricey. They're a privilege. They definitely are a privilege. So, that'll be interesting to see, get the VIP treatment for once. Well, sort of.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And hopefully it'll make up for the fact that, we don't have the ability to go to tons of big conventions. Hopefully that'll make up for it. But, yes, so... Alright, well, it looks like we,
Not yet.
The curtains threw me off. When I see the curtains, I always think it's going to be a boss.
Yeah.
Because that is what this game has taught me. I mean, I guess that's why in the Zelda cartoon they made a big deal about curtains too in some scenes.
Yeah. No, if I remember correctly. directly continue the
Yeah.
start of the castle.
Which is... I almost kind of wonder if this is one of those quote-unquote American version only things. Because remember how, like, the Mario NES games, they made some adjustments to make it easier?
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is a... If so, I mean, this is one that I can definitely say I'm grateful for. You know, some of the little changes that they made, like in Mario 3, were kind of like, oh, okay.
Like adjusting the Doom boat so you could essentially swim underwater the whole level and then jump up.
Right. Or the ledge was easier to get back up on it, whereas you were basically out of luck if you fell in the Japanese version.
Correct.
That kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, I guess that works. But it's really weird. So, you know, we like Echo the Dolphin here. So I wanted to share this with you that in Echo the Dolphin's case, they did the opposite. And I'm thinking part of this is that the marketing company, or I guess whoever marketed Echo the Dolphin in Japan thought we should make it like a kid game. It gives a much more kid-friendly vibe in the Japanese version, so I'm guessing that's why they did that, but they put things in that made it easier. Like, even just little touches, like at the beginning, they'll show you, like at the start of the game, you know, you can swim to the right to start the game, or you can swim left for password. So they actually put the signs in there saying, you know, right is start, left is password, that kind of thing. They put those in. And at Welcome to the Machine, they added a level called the Stomach, where, like, if you die in if you die in the boss, the final boss, instead of going back to Welcome to the Machine, you have to go through this other level called the Stomach, which, even though it's a little bit tricky, it's infinitely easier than Welcome to the Machine. So, and it's interesting because somebody, like the first person I read who reported about that, thought that it made the game more difficult, but when I actually looked into it and saw where the level was, I'm like, oh no, it makes it easier.
Yeah,
because
not that much of a truck to...
Yeah. Because it lengthwise is kind of like almost, I'd say about the length of the tube level. Like maybe just a tad longer than the tube. And, you know, Welcome to the Machine is merciless.
Yes.
So being thrust back into that just because you couldn't defeat the boss is just a very cool thing that the game does to you.
Super mean.
So yeah, when you know who was rage quitting at the beginning of the game, I just kind of laughed maniacally, like, you do not know pain. You do not know true pain. And you are a big fancy YouTuber, and yet...
No, he does not know pain.
You don't... Either that, or, like, you did not show us proof that you know the pain. Like, to me, it's like, if you played through the entire game, why in your review did you do yourself rage quitting so early in the game?
Yeah. In a very disturbing scene, I would add.
Yeah, in a scene where, like, you know, I would have called animal rights on him. But, anyway.
That too. And...
yeah.
Not to mention... a pool full of beer.
That too.
That actually disturbed me.
He's just trying to be as edgy as the early days. I don't know. I'm not really shy that you guys probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's not that difficult, I don't think.
Yeah, and like, he said the second game was better, so I'm like, he can't be blissfully unaware of the plot of the first game, yet he does not talk about the plot. I'm like, why wouldn't you talk about that? That's like the most famous thing about Echo the Dolphin. It's not the scene at the beginning that traumatized all the children, apparently. The most famous thing about Echo the Dolphin is its plot that takes you by surprise, because you start out it fell off of the lid and went flying. My pen went flying off of the lid.
Oh no.
You know, the game starts out... I know, here I am talking about Echo in the Zelda video.
That's okay.
You know, it starts out making you think, okay, this is just a game where this dolphin gets separated from his pod. You know, for those of you that don't know dolphin terms, that means his family. And he's trying to find them, you know. They got separated in this huge storm, and he has to go find them. We were not expecting, you know, time travel and fighting aliens, but that is what we got.
Correct.
And I absolutely love the game for it. And it makes sense because Ed Annunciata, you know, worked on some space games before, doing Echo the Dolphin, so it was kind of a cool way to combine two things that, you know, he loved, and, you know, he wanted to incorporate a dolphin in his game because he liked the way dolphins moved in the water. He just found it very captivating. And anyway, yeah, so... but yeah, I watched somebody watch the 80s Zelda cartoon for the first time, and he gave his reaction and honest opinion about the show.
How was it?
He feels like he would have enjoyed it okay back in the day. Like, he said it's fine. Like, he didn't think it was absolutely horrible, which is, you know, what he had heard about it. He felt like it was relatively faithful to Zelda 2. You know, the writing was bad. You know, that's how he felt. And, you know, I agree with some of his takes. I kind of had conveniently forgotten how sexist the writing can be.
Yeah.
You know, I do wish they had made Link a little less of a womanizer. Not so bratty. Like, I could get next to him being bored, since he's used to, you know, roughing it, and now he's staying in the castle, but the way he was acting about it, and like what he was specifically emphasizing as an issue, was kind of weird. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Kind of like, wow, you are so ungrateful.
Yeah.
But I liked the fact that Zelda actually did a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
Which is something Nintendo is only now starting to give us.
Yeah. What gives Nintendo?
Yeah. So to know that it is ironic to me that the writing was very sexist, yet they also made Zelda very badass and capable.
Yeah, she did. She was.
Yeah, and I love that they had her use a bow and arrow a lot of the time. You know me, I really like archer characters, so that was great. And to find out later on down the line, you know, we were all like going on about how weird her outfit is. But to find out, you know, when we looked at Zelda 2 concept art, that, oh, hello, that was going to be an outfit of Zelda's, kind of.
So yeah, they didn't just make it up out of whole cloth. They actually had an idea of what... They were actually taking ideas from the games to make it their ideas.
And we were all just unaware because this was unused.
Right.
So that's very interesting to me because this was Deke, right?
Yeah, Deke.
So here's the thing. When we think of Deke, we usually don't associate them as trying hard.
Yes, it's the notorious saying that a cartoonist guy off the internet once said. He referred to Deke as do it cheap.
Right. But that kind of signaled to me that somebody must have spoken to someone at Nintendo, both about the Mario cartoons and about the Zelda cartoons. So I just think that's really cool.
Yes.
Because how else would they have access to this unreleased concept art?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a similar thing to, like, you know, Illumination did with the Mario movie. Supposedly with Mario and Luigi's family members, those were scrapped ideas for actual family members of the Mario Brothers. So it's
Interesting.
So it's kind of, I appreciate it when a company does that. And also, like, at one part, in one episode, Zelda does use magic to put her hair back, and then it was, like, almost exactly like the concept art. So I'm like, yes, it really is from that concept art. Which, by the way, that's my favorite part of the Hyrule Historia book. If you're wondering why I've had it so long and have not read it, it is also because I'm just busy staring at the concept art.
Oh, well, I like to read the pictures, too.
Yeah, I like to look at not only what they used, but what they didn't use, and I like to kind of think, what was the thought process behind that? And with some of them, you're like, okay, why didn't they go with that? And with other ones, you're like, yeah, I see why you didn't go with that. Like, I think we lucked out that a lot of people were upset about Wind Waker's design, because based on some of the concept artwork for Twilight Princess, I think if Wind Waker had been, like, extremely well received, Twilight Princess would have been more cartoony. Because there is concept art in both directions. There's, like, more cartoony Twilight Princess concept art, and there's, like, extremely, like, photorealistic concept art where I'm like, thank God they didn't go that realistic. Because yes, guys, I do feel like there is such a point of making it too realistic. Especially, well, I think if they went with the hyper-realistic, they needed to tweak it more because they kind of made Link look Asian, which I am pretty sure that Hyrule is based on a European location, so I don't think that that alone might have been what killed that design. And maybe they assumed, oh, it's too photorealistic, but I think Miyamoto was probably like, oh no, Link does not look like that. And the only reason I also say that is I remember hearing when they hired the guy that voiced Link in Ocarina of Time, they specifically told him to not sound Japanese. Yeah.
Interesting.
they wanted to make sure that the utterances Link made sounded more European. Yeah. So, yeah, and I think Nobuyuki Hiyama did pretty well. That's why he's my favorite of the voice actors who have portrayed Link, because I just think he fits Link the best. I mean, I like Link's voice in Twilight Princess, but it is a little different. It's kind of more, I don't want to say childish, but so not quite childish, but cute, more cute, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess so. I feel like Ocarina of Time Link is just a pinch more masculine. He's not like super masculine, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I feel like a little bit with Twilight Princess, but certainly when we got to Skyward Sword, looking back, I can see that Aonuma, when it came to Breath of the Wild, he mentioned he wanted Link to have, an androgynous look. And I can see Link already going in that direction, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Maybe, like, mildly starting with Twilight Princess. It's one of those things, like, when I found out that's what he was going for by Breath of the Wild, I'm like, looking back and I'm like, aha! It's that kind of thing.
Yep.
And, I think Ocarina of Time was the first game that Aonuma helped work on. So I guess by Breath of the Wild, he had a lot of say in things. Is what it seems like to me anyway. I'd have to, based on what little research I did, I'd have to do further research. Which, for the record, I have no problem with that. I think it is a good idea to make Link seem more androgynous, or, having characteristics of a little bit of both genders.
Indeed.
Because it's definitely more inclusive for the player. And we always like that. I was looking where the pen went, now I see it.
Good. While Kevin's getting the pen, I can safely say that, yeah, I do think that they've been flirting with the idea, and I do agree that having it be universal is probably the best thing, so that way the player, because I think from the beginning they wanted the player to see themselves as the hero, so...
Yeah.
That's a very crucial thing for to get as many players as possible that you want to be inviting and have the player see themselves as the hero or heroine of the story.
And it actually makes Link contrast to Ganondorf more heavily, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but they have made Ganondorf like super masculine in terms of like he has huge muscles.
Yeah.
Like huge bulky guy. So there's a little bit of that too. I feel like.
Yeah, I can see thick sideburns and muscles and all.
Yeah. I mean, the long hair is a little odd, but
You're right,
it's
it does
fine.
get longer
Yeah.
in 7 years.
They kind of like... They're really trying to make him the human form of Ganon. Whereas I used to theorize that Ganondorf was not necessarily Ganon disguised as a human or anything like that, you know. I kind of thought that Ganondorf was just a victim to Ganon, you know, I kind of looked at him that way, like he was corrupted by Ganon.
Yes.
And the major reason I looked at him that way is I didn't want to assume that the Gerudo were evil.
Correct.
And he's the king of the Gerudo. So I felt like, well, he's just, you know, a king who became corrupted by the idea of power, and that's something that Ganon influenced him to do.
Yeah.
So I am kind of disappointed that now it seems like they're leaning into, well, Ganondorf is Ganon.
Which is a shame, because I was in the camp that Ganon needed a human or a human vessel to help him out before he had gotten the power.
Yeah, so I mean, even though Ganondorf turns into Ganon, I did not really think of them as the same person because, you know, in these stories, usually when you make a contract with an evil entity, you often can transform into said evil entity. That's just kind of how it goes, because they will ultimately take over your body. That's just how that works, you know, demons or monsters or whatever, that's what they do.
Yes.
Yeah, so... So that's another reason why I have a problem with connecting all the Zelda stories to each other, is it kind of puts a damper on multiple interpretations. Because now if they've decided Ganondorf is Ganon, then that means all the Ganondorfs are Ganon, and you can't really have the option of, well, maybe he is just a normal guy that got corrupted by power and Ganon took advantage of that and said, I'll give you power if you help me, you know.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what Ganondorf did to King Zant. Spoilers, for those of you who haven't played it, in Twilight Princess. So that's the other thing that made me think, well, maybe that's the same way with Ganondorf. You know, Ganon takes advantage of Ganondorf. Ganondorf decides that working with King Zant would help, so he manipulates King Zant. Or Zant, I don't know how to pronounce his name, sorry. You know, so I felt like he was just continuing the cycle, or, you know, bringing somebody else in that would help.
Yes.
So...
It is a circle and a cycle, apparently.
Yeah, and it is very sad to me that the Triforce of Power is always, like, in the hands of somebody evil.
Yeah.
It's very sad. I guess power is just that,
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, which is sad because Din, if we look at Din as the goddess of power, she's not inherently evil. She's one of the goddesses that created Hyrule, so I don't know. It just kind of makes me sad that because of this stupid cyclic thing they have going on, the Triforce of Power always has to be in the bad guy. It's like, and the Triforce of Wisdom is always with Zelda, and the Triforce of Courage is always a part of Link. And I don't know, guys. It's just, you're not shaking up the formula any. What if we, shake it around a little bit, you know? What if, we have a villain that gets the Triforce of Wisdom first? Because they're like, well, I might not be able to control the power. I want to have infinite wisdom so that I know everything my enemies are doing, you know? Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Or the villain says, I never want to have any fear, so they decide to kidnap Link first.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're out of time, unfortunately. So this will take another part, I'm afraid. Alright, guys. Well, we will see you next time. It's okay. We'll beat this. Alright, bye, guys.